Our state has some incredible problems. My name is Lynn Hinderrocker. I'm here to talk about that with you and talk about the trends that have shaped this state and dragged us in one direction or another. We're not really we're not realizing the dream we had way back in the early 2000s or even around 2008 or 9 or 10. My name is Lynn Hinderrocker. Welcome to WowBiz, Nebraska. We're going to get it on right now. What's it like to pitch you? Yeah. Do you have baggage? Do you have barriers, obstacles, psychological hang-ups that get in the way of a productive sales dialogue? I'm letting you know now, we're going to figure that out. We're going to get right inside your psyche. We're going to uncover it right here with Bruce Arent, my commentator. He's going to figure it all out. And by the way, everything in the world is symbolic ultimately, isn't it? Because we have your psyche, your barriers, your hang-ups, your whole organism, Bruce, as a prospect right here on this page.
It's kind of scary.
Thanks for joining me again today. I was nervous about it, but now I'm not. No. So Bruce Arent is here, and of course, he's the great published author and illustrator for children's books across the state of Nebraska, well known. We're actually going to be talking a little bit about one of his publications, a well-known franchise-building child's book that is being used in a variety of ways to hold down bedspreads, things like that. Anyway, so let's talk for a minute. You've been in the role that I am in many times, which is trying to acquire clients.
Right.
You know,
right.
Getting people to chat with you a little bit and showing them your unique skill set.
Right.
Which you sometimes forget. You don't even
skill
know
sets, plural,
right. But anyway, so here we have something that is kind of symbolic of what I think is the average intelligent buyer, probably doesn't need me. Very smart individual, accomplished, has a limited amount of time to chat.
Okay.
Says, here's a cup of coffee. What would you like to visit with about? Now, first of all, I know that we all have baggage.
Right.
Right. You know, a little bit of it, like stereotypes, hang-ups. Some people don't like guys that are bald. Right. Some people don't like guys with hair that comb their hair back.
Some people love bald men.
Love bald? Yeah, I've heard that. Don't personally know anybody like that.
Right, or neither.
Anyway, so here we are, and so we've got to somehow break through, you know, and kind of establish a little bit of rapport. And let's say you're the guy. Well, you're the guy, and I'll say, you know, I'm a little bit nervous about meeting with you because I know you're so accomplished, you've been around, and you've got awards on the wall, and you've got a beautiful family, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm not sure I'm even fit to be in your company.
Not quite in my league.
Not quite in your league. All right, so humor's good.
Right.
So that kind of breaks it down.
Okay.
He says, and you say, what the heck, go ahead. Let's chat. You seem like a good guy.
You go ahead. Right.
All right, fine. So here we are. And here's the baggage, the unspoken baggage.
Was there a reason there was a baby blanket over that?
Well, because you, and as well as most people, do not let a salesperson into their world, and we don't reveal ourselves just right off the bat.
Right, that's sort of a wall.
There's a guarded area there,
right.
so we have to somehow figure out a way, and that's not easy to do, by the way, without sounding insincere or whatever, you know.
Right.
And but anyway, so I'm chatting with you. I'm chatting about we'll say my consulting firm, Growth Dynamics,
okay.
just for the heck of it.
Okay.
You know, pandemic and so on and so forth. A lot of people are trying to figure out how to get sales going again,
right,
kind of come out of the slump,
okay.
And you know, maybe even think about new products and services. And I am an innovation expert. That kind of is my deal. And so I'm just wondering if you would mind chatting with me if I ask a few questions. Would you be willing to chat with me about that?
Absolutely.
All right. Now let's open up this bag here for just a minute, Mr. Prospect.
This way?
There
it goes.
Comes the other side, I think. Now you're going to show me just.
No idea what's in it.
Now pull it on out here, whatever's there. And I'm going to say right off the bat, I said, now first of all, before I go any further, what are some of your hang-ups, some of the things that you don't really like when you deal with outsiders that have a new product or a service? What do you think what would a person like you, growly, grungy, guarded individual say about that?
I would say, if I was growly and grumbly, I'd say I hate bubbly people.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't, and if you have a big grin on your face and you're a salesperson, don't come knocking on my door.
This is like a morning person.
Yeah, I hate those. All right, I'll make sure that I'm not like this guy at all, absolutely.
Okay.
Now go on in here. Now I'm going to talk to you before you respond to this. Pull it all out here and kind of let our viewers
Nice.
see what we have here.
Nice.
I said, you know, many times I launch new initiatives, assuming I'm empowered to do that. And,
Right.
and companies are looking for a big idea that will help us reinvent ourselves, reposition ourselves. It involves a lot of different prospects, different things, the new website perhaps, a new pitch, maybe a new sales manager, things like that. I start talking about that, and a guy like you might be thinking, money.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah,
how
it's
much
a lot.
is that going to cost?
Exactly. And guys like you typically don't like guys like me who kind of brush over the money.
Because I'm looking at the bottom line. You're just a bunch of candy-coated fluff.
Exactly right. You kind of flipped that around on me, didn't you?
I kind of did. No.
But anyway, the thing that I would remind you, acknowledging the baggage that you have about talking to a guy like me is, if you over-measure, if you spend too much time kind of trying to get the ROI on each and every individual program and task and everything that we do, you're going to find out that you're going to be inhibited and limited, and the really big idea that is pulling it all together.
Because you're missing the bigger picture.
You're missing the bigger picture that has momentum beyond years and years.
Yeah. And that is crippling to a lot of people. They just look at the dollars and cents without thinking beyond what are the values. Not just the dollars, but the actual values of those
this is a
dollars
big
spent.
topic, actually. I'm going to tell you something. Doing this kind of interviews several years ago, quite a while back, actually, I almost forged a relationship with a local broadcast TV station here in the Omaha market area. One of their guys was interested in doing a business show, maybe on the weekend or something like that. Right. But the general manager was so nervous that the profit that I would generate initially, just getting started, they would go out and sell interviews and so on, to advertisers. And he was so nervous that I wouldn't hit their standard for profit.
Right.
That he said, if you slip 1 week below our profit level or whatever, you're out. I can't take a risk with my boss in New York or whatever. And I'm like, you're really missing the point here. We're trying to build a reputation as a business news kind of operation, and you're nervous that it's not going to work the third week out of the box. He was really frightened.
It paralyzes any sense of creativity.
Yes, and you don't want to stretch out and really go for it. But anyway, so that's a very real thing, that a lot of people don't understand. How do we innovate? Because it might mean we might have to lose a little bit money on this project for a while.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at the next. The next. I appreciate you being so transparent, Mr. Prospect, and sharing with me some of the things that. Put one of those away for just a minute.
These are
just one. Just
okay.
put one away. All right. Now, here's an interesting thing. Flip it over.
Okay.
All right. Now this represents one tactic that goes along with hiring an outsider. Okay. Could be like a copywriting skill. Okay. Okay. And it's like you can't see under the container because you don't know what that guy or gal's going to write that we're going to be forced to put up on the website. What's they going to say? What's their style? How are they going to do it? And so you just want to keep looking underneath it because you can't stand not knowing, what we're working, even if it's kind of small, a relatively minor thing.
It's an unknown quantity.
It's an unknown quantity and means you're out of control. Right. A lot of clients are very nervous about working with outsiders, and they might lose control, no matter how minor an issue it is.
That is a great point.
Because
to a person who's a kind of control freak, a minor issue is a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Because deep down inside there's fear. They're perfectionists and they're fear that they're going to lose control of something and then that'll reflect poorly on them and people won't respect me anymore and blah, blah, blah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's find another thing right here that kind of looms as baggage. Now, these are barriers to working, innovating, moving forward with new projects and initiatives.
Okay.
Now, this, if you just kind of do that on the, you see, when you sit down and you go over a budget or you go over a program or project with a client, and they're a little suspicious, maybe a little cynical, and if they feel that you are brushing over some of the details, like for instance, how many people are going to go to our new exhibit, and how much money do we need to break even on my exhibit, and how many people have to be there, and if you don't have the answer to that, maybe you're kind of brushing some of the important details off the table.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
I see that.
Kind of going over them a little bit, softening the edge.
Yeah, just kind of hedging the
thing. Right, because operations managers, they want, as again, details, guarantees.
Because they're held accountable.
They're held accountable, yeah. So that's that.
Okay.
All right, we're one by one, we're identifying the real barriers to progress. Post-pandemic now, this is a time when people are thinking out of the box. They're looking at their business model. Is there anything we can do or say to kind of grab some of the market share right now, or maybe reinvent the entire market, right? All right, now.
I suspected there was pot in this backpack. No, sorry.
No, but actually, when you put this down,
okay.
What this is determined by it. After all these barriers, all these issues,
right.
If you're a smart, we'll say consultant or some outsider or whatever, here's what you're going to figure out. They like small ideas, not big ideas. See, they can't handle a big idea.
Okay.
Too many variables,
Too
much risk. So we got to find small ideas, right? Little pots that they can put their mentality into, and we'll get a little safe little progress, et cetera, and we'll cook it, and it'll be fine, it'll boil, and all that, and they'll go, oh, this is really neat. We'll bring this guy in, he does this cool stuff, but it's only about 1/7
right.
of what was really planned.
Because they're limited by their
assumptions.
Fears and assumptions.
Fears
right.
and assumptions.
Okay.
And it's all about the past, of course. They're like, well, I hired somebody once, and that was, that didn't work out at all, and I almost got fired, so you better watch out. That kind of a male thing. Failures, absolutely. Scared to death of failures. So anyway, here we are at this pivotal moment in time here at the back end of the pandemic, and I know it's it's continuing to move forward, but there will be a dissipation, and we'll be able to. They say July 4th is a good benchmark when things will quote unquote normalize across most of America.
Hadn't heard that.
70% of all Americans will be vaccinated at least once, if not twice.
Right.
By July 4th or about that area.
Wow.
And so we'll be able to move forward with a little more optimism. And here's the big deal. The sense is there's going to be an explosion of the market's just going to go pent-up demand. You just boom, right?
I think it will.
Unfortunately, though, there is a little bit of an issue. There's a huge portion of our market, of our country, that are people on unemployment. They're kind of getting by on unemployment rather than working.
Right.
They're looking forward to their stimulus, and this kind of softens the angst, of course.
Right.
But they may not get out there and hustle to get work very hard. But come September, that'll be over. See, so come September, the upper end of our economy, people that do well anyway,
right.
good wage earners,
right.
they'll do extremely well. But a lot of the people below the line will do poorly.
They're going to be just getting off the starting blocks.
Getting off the starting blocks,
right.
They don't have any momentum,
Yeah.
and they're going to be very, very worried and very nervous. So there's going to be two distinct market segments that'll be merging here in September. Isn't that interesting?
That is I hadn't heard.
Yeah, that's a reasonable anticipation. Now that means that every single company out there right now, I just have to say this, you got to be planning, right? You got to be developing new plans, maybe a plan B. There's going to be disruption in the marketplace. Opportunities wide open.
It's going to be a time like we've never seen.
We'll never see it in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Quite what's going to be happening in front of us. The down and then the up.
Right.
So it's very exciting, and we encourage our viewers to kind of get psyched up and get ready to go. And if you need help with planning and developing a system or a concept, they should let us know.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly. This is the time.
This is the time. This is Lynn Hinterwacker right here with WowBiz Nebraska and the intelligent and insightful Bruce Arendt, extracting profound wisdom from every single word that's dripping off of our collective lips. Where did I come up with it?
I could not have said that.
I couldn't have said it better. But the
or
baggage
at all.
Did you like the baggage thing?
I did. I thought that was interesting.
Not bad, We're going to come back here and we're going to talk a little bit about something, but I'm going to do something kind of crazy here. We've got a 3-minute interlude here.
Okay.
Talk about the sponsor of the show. And as I'm going to get up here, because this is going to be an unusual, as every interlude is, every promotional segment is a little bit different here on WowBiz Nebraska. But I'm going to take off my jacket, and I'm going to put on my leather jacket, right? Because that's symbolic of what's going to happen right here, right now.
Okay.
All right? Because what we're going to do, we're going to talk about some tough statistics. We're going to talk about some tough strategies. We're going to get right to the point.
Okay.
And a lot of people across the state, business owners in particular, that have heard maybe a little bit about Nebraska. They don't know what it is. They're a little nervous. They don't want to do anything crazy, And so they're trying to figure out how they're attracted to the idea of newness. They kind of sense that's a good thing.
Right.
But they don't want to go crazy and they don't want to make a misstep.
They don't quite understand how that looks.
Exactly right. How does it look to go to the next level at this particular time in our economy, and basically make third quarter and fourth quarter, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. So I'm going to talk to you today about a little bit about Brassica, and I'm going to share some information with you you may or may not know, okay? And I'm going to stand up for this.
Should I put my toys away?
Well, no, but you might want to bang on the table whenever you hear something particularly exciting, okay? You have the freedom to do that. Not everybody could do that.
No.
No. So here's the deal. Here in Nebraska, let's start with the average sales revenue that a, quote, small business has. All right, let's start with that as a base consideration. Now, I'm not talking about sole proprietors like you and I. Those are the kind of people, their volume's around $100,000. They make about 44 grand a year typically. We're not talking about those people. And they, by the way, they comprise a huge portion of across Nebraska,
a lot of them,
especially in rural and so on. But we're talking now about the classic or typical small business company, and their typical revenue is $570,000.
And this is within Nebraska.
Within Nebraska, $570,000 is the average number small business generates. Okay. And now we talk about marketing, because again, it's going to be important for them to somehow get out there and revitalize sales, right? And so they're thinking to themselves, what should we do, right? Now that leads us to marketing budget.
Okay.
Let's be kind of numbers oriented for a minute. The Small Business Administration tells us that business owners of companies like that should be investing about 7 to 8% in marketing.
Somewhere around 50,000 then, probably.
But yeah, maybe that might be a little high. I would say maybe 45 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. And by the way, let's be practical and say, hey, the pandemic kind of took a chunk out of us, so we can even bring the number down to like 39 or something like that, because a lot of people will be conservative after. Sure. So we'll say somewhere between 39 and 45. Okay. Now the next question is, what do we do with that money? How do we allocate it optimally? Now I'm going to talk to you about this content marketing. It's very interesting. Of all companies now, 16% of them spend anywhere from 10% of the marketing budget to about 25% of it, all right, on content marketing. Okay. And then another 17% spend somewhere between 25% and 49% on content marketing.
Okay.
All right, whatever their budget is, we'll say once again around 40 grand, give or take. And so that gives you a sense of the impact. 16% plus 17%, that's a pretty good portion of all companies looking at and utilizing content marketing, right? So let's just take a median number between those two categories. Let's say 30%.
Okay.
Okay. So 30% of all entire marketing budget is, on average, we are approximating here, is being spent on content marketing.
Okay.
All right. So this is very interesting. So what does that mean if you take a look at it on a monthly basis? Well, it means they're investing somewhere between $550 a month to maybe $1,100 a month.
Okay.
Depending, and that is their content marketing budget. All right. So let's just think about that for just a minute, and remember, by the way, that Brassica's content marketing offerings, shall we say, or service that we provide,
right,
and I won't get into numbers at all here exactly, but fall into that category.
Absolutely.
They do on the low end, and we have 3 different things from kind of the low end of the spectrum I just mentioned.
There's tiers.
There's tiers, exactly, 3 tiers. So when I found this out, I felt lucky because, frankly, I didn't do it strategic. I didn't do it really logically, but it just happened to work out that way. Right. So here's the message to all of our viewers out there today. Grab onto these numbers and realize what are people like me doing. And people like me and you are spending even increasingly more money on content marketing. And the essence of that, as we all probably know, is educating the customer. Right? There's Facebook advertising, there's display ads, very powerful. I mean, many people, millions of people do them, easily targeted. There's certainly things to be said for that. But when you watch or read a video or an advertorial or even an audio podcast, you see, if it's well developed, you're a better educated person as a result of spending a couple minutes taking a look at it.
It's a bit more sophisticated, and it helps your buyer to make a informed decision.
Informed
and
decision.
Educated.
They're a qualified prospect.
Qualified, right.
Yeah, absolutely. And they might actually read stuff like this, 2, 3, 4, 5 times over the course of a few months. And you don't even know, so you don't even really know they're in the funnel.
Right.
But then all of a sudden you hear from them, they go to your website and so on, and they say, I've been reading about you and heard about you, and I saw a little video about you guys, and I've really learned a lot. That really tells me you guys are intelligent and will be able to really fit me and my lifestyle.
And I think it would tend to diffuse some of the things we were talking about earlier. Some of those hang-ups and things, if they have a better sense of who you are and what you're really doing as
Indeed.
a company.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's exactly right. And that's the point. But it sometimes takes some time, right? It takes a little time for buyers to kind of figure out and get a little more educated. They start to connect the dots and go, oh, I see. But the key is, and we'll wrap up here as we go back to our show here, and we're going to talk about your business and some of the things you do, and we'll talk about content marketing in your world.
Okay.
All right? But the final idea here is that if you believe that smart people, the smarter a person gets, the more likely they will purchase your product or service, then content marketing's for you. All right? If you don't think that's particularly true, skip content marketing, buy Facebook ads, just try to get as much transactions as you can, don't worry about it. But if you want to build a brand with people that are really loyal and respect you and kind of want to invest in you and stick with your company and your product line, think about content marketing, whether it's video, audio, podcasting, a TV interview, as long as it's education.
Right.
Absolutely. All right, so Bruce, Aaron, and I'm Lynn Hinderrocker. We're on WowBiz, Nebraska. We finished this tough part. That was tough.
The jacket's coming back off.
I couldn't believe, that's right, I couldn't believe we got through that. Nobody threw anything at me. I was waiting for tomatoes and bananas to be thrown at me and so on and so forth. But let's talk a little bit about your business, all right?
Okay.
Now, why don't you just tell everybody out there, they don't necessarily know, tell everybody I'm Bruce and this is what I do, will you?
Well, the main focus of my business is illustrating. I've done over 20 books, children's books for people, primarily for other authors though. And, but I have a couple of books that were miraculously published that I wrote and illustrated. And they were actually published in the mainstream with my traditional publishers in New York. And so that's a big part of it. But my business really morphed into being more of a presenter than anything.
Yes, and that's why you elucidate so well.
Exactly.
You're a good speaker. But absolutely, and we're so glad to have you on here. And you make a good living going around the state.
Primarily to schools, libraries, things like
and
that.
libraries, and reading your books and speaking to the kids.
Doing different programs, yeah.
And God bless you for that. I have young children, and they love your work. So let's talk about this. Now, by the way,
what happened to the cover?
Well, we read it every night. We're obsessed with the book. We had to rip off the cover. My 2-year-old said, give it to me. All right, so here we go. This is going to be really a neat challenge for you. Okay. So here we are. This is about Simpson's sheep won't go to sleep. We're going to put this on camera here.
That was the first book I did.
First book. This built the franchise for Bruce Arendt. And it's a wonderful book, talking and a lot of rhythm, beautiful illustration. Look at this. Kind of has a rural slant to it, of course, because of the sheep. Now, let's pretend that we're going to do an advertorial. We're going to write a 300 to 400 word essay that's going to be posted on the web. It'll be content that people will utilize. You take a shot at it. Write a headline right now for an article that would educate a parent, probably, and give them something kind of helpful that would ultimately lead to finding your book and buying your book.
I would say something along the lines of the ultimate put them to sleep bedtime story.
Okay.
Right? Because a lot of kids don't want to go to sleep. They've got excuses. This is a book that they'll...
That's a big deal.
It's a real big deal if you're a self-deprived parent.
I'm going to go you one better.
What's that?
Okay, so my headline will say, how to be a parent who is 33% happier because their children go to bed on time.
Oh.
Be a 33% more stable parent, and by getting your children to bed by 9 o'clock. And don't even mention the book in the headline.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
That's
see, now you're
intrigued. You want to say, well, how do I become, where'd you come up with 33%?
I just made that up. But you know what I'm getting at.
Right.
All right, let's make another one up. This is a very helpful exercise, and millions of people are listening at this very moment saying, I want to get into the content marketing groove. All right, so you got any more additional ideas?
No, I don't.
That's an insightful answer.
Right.
No, I'm going to give you another one.
Give
right
me
here.
another one.
Yes. Why urban children are suddenly craving a rural lifestyle. Right? They fall in love with the sheep.
They want to be there.
This is so cute. They're like,
right.
It's not like this in where I live, you know.
Who wouldn't want to be in that barnyard?
Right.
Right.
Or here's another one.
Okay.
Throw away your sleeping pills. Just pull out this book every night at 8:45. Can you tell I'm a grandparent and I'm always putting children to bed? It's not easy.
Sleeping pills for the children?
Yes, that's right. So anyway, you see how that is, huh?
Yeah, no.
I mean, it takes a little bit of thinking and
you have to kind of come in from a side angle.
Yes. Stop talking about your product. Start talking about the customer and their lifestyle. Right. I think that would be the piece of news.
Tie the product back.
Hey, we got 2 minutes left. I want to show something real quick.
That was quick.
Yeah, it was quick. Listen, I want to show you something. I just love paradoxes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it when opposites come together, like in the word urban natural, same kind of. See, I threw that in right there.
You see?
All right. So look at this. Now here's a great article. I'm going to throw it up for the magazine for our viewers. It's called "The Rural Rebound."
Okay.
And it's talking about how many counties are doing well. Rural counties are doing, especially if they have a manufacturing firm, you know, in their area. They still struggle with farm counties. That is still an issue. But the emphasis is recreation, like maybe hunting or something like that. Yeah, and retirement. Those two things.
It's a more peaceful lifestyle.
More peaceful lifestyle. You can carry a gun with you, and you sit in in a wheelchair and just roll around and shoot animals. That's what we're talking about.
Is that your plan?
No. Anyway, so the rural rebound's an upbeat, kind of an optimistic, article.
Right.
But look at this. Here we are in the New York. Now that was in 1994.
Wow.
By the way, just a day or two ago.
Yeah.
But now look at this. In a reversal, the lure of the city takes hold.
The lure of the city.
The lure of the city. They're talking about. I can call somebody and someone will deliver me a hamburger from McDonald's in 12 minutes.
Right.
They don't have that in the rural area.
You have to butcher the cow first
right.
before you can have your hamburger.
So I think this is really fantastic. I love keeping track of this kind of stuff.
And how recent is this?
Yeah, this was this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, compared to 1994.
Wow.
So we'll see. Life is complex, but we figured it all out right here on WowBiz, Nebraska. If you're a business owner or a CEO, don't miss the show. And of course, especially if Bruce Aaron is on with me, it gets really good at that time. I'm Lynn Rocker. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.